going back to the identity, that's something when I was, really I struggled with until 2 years ago, maybe, like it is, I was a successful salesman. Before that I wasn't an incredibly successful athlete, but, was doing the things. And, coming out of that sales career, I had gotten the team or the title that I had wanted, was making the income I wanted. And then it was like, I went into this thing for about 5 months in recruiting where I was sitting in a gray cubicle, and talk about one of those jobs where you want to fucking kill yourself. That was it. And, through that, and then started in, selling custom clothing. It's like, man, I'm not a suit guy. I don't want to sell clothing the rest of my life. It was a great career, great business to be in. But I tied my identity to what I was doing. And then you switch it up again, and it's like, okay, well, now I'm a gym owner. I do insurance. I do a few, I have a few things going on now. But but like, I try not to tie my identity to any one of those things, because all of those could be taken away in an instant. And where I try to wrap my identity up is in my faith and in my family. So for you being, a pro athlete, I mean, that's huge success, right? That's something that walking away from, it's kind of like, somebody coming out of the military, serving a greater purpose than themselves, and then going into civilian life. How did you kind of go through that identity shift?
Oh, it's not easy, dude. That's not easy for anybody. Any transition is usually scary. It's usually hard. It's usually uncomfortable, but it also is what's required. We talked about, like, at a certain point, to have the life you want, you're going to have to walk through fire. Like,
Hmm.
that's just the reality of it. And I think the universe is always talking. You might not like what it's saying, but it is important that you kind of listen to the writing on the wall, because it's usually pushing you in the right direction if you're willing to
Hmm.
hear it. And for me, like, you know, when I was growing up, I had an interesting childhood growing up, because when I was 5, my mom and I, we were in like a really horrific car accident. So we were in
Really?
a little Isuzu rental car. We went head to head with the minivan. It was just, I was about 5 years old. It was horrific. We were in the hospital for weeks and weeks. And when I got out of the hospital, I went into kindergarten and I didn't talk. I was just, they thought I had autism or something.
Wow.
And like, what's going on? Well, it's a post-traumatic stress, right? And it took me a really long time to get over that. And it presented kind of socially, where it's like, I was quiet, I was shy, I was scared. I was even, going into middle school, like, I was afraid to talk to girls. I was afraid to be loud. And the one place that I felt confident and powerful was like in gym class or at recess.
Hmm.
Right? And I was like, oh man, like, I'm in control of this environment. Like, I can do what I want. Nobody can stop me. Like, it was this opportunity for me to be the big version of myself. And then, as you progress as an athlete, you figure out, like, well, play all these sports, but I'm kind of really good at this one thing. So I'm gonna, for me, it was like focusing on baseball. And baseball took me to this point where I could be this person on the field, but now I felt the confidence to be this person off the field too, where I
Hmm.
could be this big version of Dave, and confident and happy and just vibrant, right? So I think baseball for me was a vessel for me to express my gifts. And
Hmm.
then it turned into like athletics or this and that. But I guess my point is, all these things that we usually do what we like what we do, and we're usually pretty good at those things that we like, right? You're like, I have a talent for this, I do it a lot, I'm pretty damn good at it, I feel like the big version of myself here.
Yeah.
It's just a vessel for you to express who you are, to express your gifts, whatever those may be. Like, I love bringing big energy and cracking jokes and having fun and getting out of hand and expressing, positive aggressiveness. Like, that's what really gets me humming. And there are so many different ways to do that.
Hmm.
But if you can focus on just those characteristics of what makes you feel like the big version of yourself, like that person you're proud to, the man you aspire to be, you can apply that to a number of different things. I
Hmm.
never thought that I would love writing. I was like, I'm a baseball
Hmm.
player, I play sports, but I love writing. It's an opportunity for me to bring my personality and to show some knowledge and kind of do what I do with my athletes, like
Yeah.
education, all that stuff. So I think there's a lot of different avenues to go down if you know what your gifts are, you can apply them in a zillion different ways. So it doesn't have to be the thing you're doing that is determining who you are. And I
Mhm.
think that's really the big evolution that you realize is like, it doesn't matter if you're playing baseball or doing CrossFit or competing in bodybuilding or coaching athletes or writing books. You're the same guy in all those environments. You know, you're
It's just a
you're bringing
vessel
out
for
that same
expression.
component of yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's a really important realization. And like it took me a long time to get there. I tell folks like I didn't really have any clue who I was until I was about 30. And even then, even now, I'm still kind of discovering myself and packing and unpacking shit and
Oh,
having to
yeah.
go back and fix, problems and, look deep into why I do some of the things that I
Mhm.
do. And it's been a fun journey. It's like a really fun journey if you're willing to be open to it. The fact is some people just get really uncomfortable at looking at themselves.
Mhm.
And that's fine. That's different strokes for different folks. For me, I gotta feel like I'm getting somewhere. I gotta feel like I'm making progress towards something. Otherwise I get very anxious.
Mhm. I'm right there with you. Like, yeah, I still, I still unpack things from my childhood, and some people look at that and it's like, oh, well, just pack it away. Well, I did that for many years, and I'll tell you what, it creates a lot of anger. It creates a lot of anxieties. It creates a lot of stuff that when you have a family is not necessarily something you want to come out, right?
Yeah.
So, my wife and I went through a hard time in our marriage, and we, we unpacked a lot of that, and it helped me understand, like, oh, that's why I do that. That's why I respond that way. That's why, I get this feeling when this happens, right? And it's I think that is a special skill that most people either don't have or they just don't want to pay any attention to, of looking deeper within themselves and really breaking that down and trying to grow, trying to get better.